This is the most amazing pair of sisters I have ever seen. Because they were tired of working in the city, they came to the forest and built a magnificent treehouse. The elevated design keeps them safe from wild animals, while the spacious interior can accommodate 2 people comfortably. It's like living in seclusion, yet still enjoying a cozy retreat. Meina and Li Huan, in their early 20s, decided to escape city life and live a slower lifestyle they had never tried before. After hiking for half an hour in the forest, they found a large tree growing beside a giant rock. The forest floor is full of dangers. Building their shelter up in the tree would be ideal. So the sisters immediately split up to take action. Each used the machete in her hands, swinging continuously at trees as thick as their arms. Though they look delicate and fragile, unexpectedly when it comes to hard work, they are no weaker than men. After just an hour or so, they had already cut down a considerable number of logs. To build a treehouse, first they needed a platform. Working together in harmony, the sisters fixed one log onto a broken branch. The ends extending outward also needed support, so that the platform would be stable. Then they repeated the process on another side of the tree. With these as supports, they created a grid-like foundation with the logs. Every connection point was secured with strong nails and also bound tightly with rope, ensuring it was safe for people to stand on. Then they sawed off the extra tree branches so they could continue installing more logs. They built the entire platform for the treehouse structure. This required the logs to be placed as closely as possible, which consumed time, effort, and materials. Luckily, since there were 2 of them, the speed was much faster than working alone. Through the hard work of Meina and Li Huan, the whole platform was laid down in a short time. To achieve a neat and beautiful look, the uneven sides needed trimming. They cut off the excess parts according to the plan, then added some diagonal supports at the bottom, which greatly increased the platform's load-bearing capacity and made its connection with the tree more solid. In the middle part, near the giant rock, they left a few logs protruding. The reason for this was to attach the slanted beams of the staircase. After all, the rock surface was too slippery. Climbing up and down on it every day would be dangerous. So Meina and Li Huan quickly built a staircase. For safety reasons as well, the elevated platform also needed railings. Meina began making tree posts similar to stakes, while Li Huan held a hand drill, boring holes along the platform's edges. Once all the holes were ready, the vertical posts were also prepared. They hammered them into the holes and fixed the other ends with horizontal poles, which also had drilled holes. With the sisters' skillful teamwork, the posts and beams fit together perfectly. After that, they could start building the shelter on top. Li Juan found a dead tree in the forest, thick and round. She spent time cutting it into sections and carried them back, planning to saw them into thin planks for roofing tiles. Meina first made a rectangular solid wood panel, and with Li Huan's help, lifted it to the platform's edge. For now, they propped it with a stick, then nailed it to connect with the platform. Then, they needed to make another panel of the same size on the other side. Because a vertical fork stood in the middle, Meina had to divide it into 2 pieces. Though the fork was in the way, it became an important support for connecting the panels. Once finished, they removed unnecessary pieces of wood. Next, Meina assembled several small frames. Anyone familiar with wilderness building would know she was preparing for the roof. They set the 2 ends of the frames onto the panels. At the joints, they hammered nails to strengthen them. Under Meina's hammer, everything progressed in good order. Once the roof ridge was installed, the remaining work became much easier. They placed additional upright posts at the front and back walls so that the framework between the panels could be completed. Now, the treehouse's structure was gradually taking shape. Then, Meina found a flexible sapling, and with all her strength, bent it until it formed a perfect loop. She wrapped it with vines, tying the joints securely, and to make it look more beautiful, she wrapped the entire doorway with vines. The effect was simply stunning, and also durable, not easy to fall apart. Finally, it was time for the roof beams. Meina didn't cut corners. She installed more than 10 beams. While she was busy building the frame, Li Huan was working hard below, sawing planks. By the time Meina finished her part, the number of planks was almost sufficient. But to turn them into usable tiles still required more effort. Li Huan drew lines along the edges of a mold so the planks could be cut into uniform shapes. This also took a lot of time. Meanwhile, Meina collected a large amount of vines from the forest, intending to weave 2 beds. First, she fixed 3 logs as crossbars, then wove the vines in between. The method was similar to making a frame, wrapping them up and down between the beams. After finishing one vine, she tucked the end into the gaps of the bed frame, then started with a new one. It was important to keep the vines tight, otherwise the bed would be loose and not durable. Meina's hands worked quickly, and in less than an hour she finished 2 beds. At the same time, Li Huan also finished making the wooden tiles. She carried them all to the corridor, hung them from the middle top position with nails, and attached them to the roof frame. When laying them, they staggered each row, stacking them like fish scales. This way not only looked beautiful, but also increased the ability to block wind and rain. They sealed the top with flat tiles and did the same for the front and back walls. That's why I said earlier that Li Huan was making both bricks and tiles, because they could serve as both. The process of laying them was quite satisfying to watch. With the last wooden tile in place, Li Huan quickly lit a fire, shaved down the red candles they had brought, melted the wax in a bamboo tube, and poured it into the gaps of the roof and walls, sealing them. When everything was done, both of them were drenched in sweat. Luckily, there was a pool nearby. Meina and Li Huan took a bath there. This part isn't very suitable to show, so let's skip ahead. At this point, the treehouse's activity space was still rather small. They planned to build a larger terrace at the base, so they chopped down another 100 or so logs from the forest and carved notches at the right spots to fix 2 logs tightly together. They built 3 sets in total, arranging them at equal distances and binding them firmly. This way, the frame of the terrace was set up. Next, they laid logs on top to make the flooring. With the sisters working diligently, the floor was completed at lightning speed. Soon enough, it was nearly finished. Like the steps used when building the treehouse platform, they trimmed the protruding ends neatly, then built another staircase connecting to the ground. With the constant sounds of hammering, all the work advanced quickly. They fixed treads on both sides of the staircase columns, so they could install planks as steps. Meina's design was impressive, making climbing up and down much safer and more convenient. The terrace also needed railings. Using the same method as before, they drilled holes, inserted the vertical posts, and attached the horizontal beams accordingly. At the same time, they added handrails to both staircases using this method. In short, all the necessary facilities were installed, and the details were carefully polished. After all, Meina and Li Huan were meticulous girls. Now the treehouse looked much more grand. So, if you were given the chance, would you choose to live this kind of life with them?